Some folks put much reliance on politics and science. There's only one hero for me. It's praise we should be.
The Second World War wreaked havoc across the globe. Almost no one remained untouched. But after nearly 6 years, it ended, and everyone, young and old, celebrated. The BBC broadcast this famous announcement.
This is London. The Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Winston Churchill.
Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters, General Jodl, the representative of the German High Command, hostilities will end officially at 1 minute after midnight tonight, Tuesday, the 8th of May. But in the interest of saving lives, the ceasefire began yesterday to be sounded along all the fronts.
This is my dad, Bill. He enlisted into the 59th Anti-Tank Regiment of the Royal Artillery in 1939 and narrowly missed joining the BEF in 1940. He landed at Arromanches on June the 16th, 1944, and traversed what was known as the Club route up through Europe. This picture was taken in Brussels, and his message to my mum back in Southampton, "Lots of love, darling," was no doubt intended to reassure. But his optimism, and probably hers too, was short-lived. On May the 4th, 1945, just as hostilities ceased, his convoy was wrongly diverted into a minefield near Nijmegen. Mum was unaware of this, so was I, being only 1 1/4. We were both probably celebrating like the rest of England. Shortly afterwards, she was sent this letter. Dad had received multiple wounds to his left foot. He was brought back to England and admitted to hospital. His wounds proved serious. His leg was amputated at the knee. In his memory, I decided to film as many as possible of the VE80 commemorations in Poundbury and Dorchester. Monday, May the 5th, a bank holiday, had been deemed the start of commemorations, and most street parties were expected to happen then. I could only find one street party at Holmmead Walk in Poundbury. Yvonne James, who was 5 in 1945, had this to say.
My father was a clerk of works on an aerodrome in North Cornwall, which had American and British airmen, and we had a street party, and I can remember some American bombers going across and some English planes, 2 or 3 of them, on a little mini bypass, I suppose. And I can remember we had jam sandwiches, and I had ice cream in a teacup, which I ate with a teaspoon. And in the evening, I can remember a piano being carried out of our house into the street and my father playing it for a party.
Cheers.
This is local resident Tom Lane, who was 8 in 1945. He told us that on VE Day proper, he sang a slightly rude song about doodlebugs and won himself 2 and 6. On May the 8th itself, over in Dorchester, things were a little more promising. At 9 a.m, the official proclamation was read at the town pump by Anthony Harrison, Dorchester's town crier.
80 years ago today, the United Kingdom and its allies from around the globe celebrated VE Day, the end of the war in Europe. Today, as we come together to commemorate what came to be known as VE Day, our thoughts turn to thanksgiving and remembrance of those millions that gave so much to achieve the freedom we all enjoy today. We remember those we lost, those who were wounded or scarred, those whose lives were changed forever by war. Nobody was immune from the impact of that terrible conflict. Let us pause to remember their sacrifice. We reflect too upon the words of our late and glorious Queen, Elizabeth. Never give up, never despair. And so we offer thanksgiving for the selflessness of those who gave up so much in order that future generations should enjoy the blessings of freedom, democracy and peace. God save the King!
A little later that morning, Age UK and Poundbury held a party for their regulars. Among the memories there was this one from Ken Lambert.
I was born in a little village in North Dorset called Bishop's Corner. Now, we were on the direct flight line from the German bombers going from Germany to Bristol. And when they came back from Bristol, if they hadn't dropped their bombs, they looked for lights anywhere and dropped them. Sherborne got dropped on a few, and we at Bishop's Corner had one right in the middle of the village. And that really did wake us up. And going on from there, my father took me to Warden Hill. Yeah. Do you know what Warden Hill was? No. Warden Hill was a German prisoner of war camp. And that was all shut off all around there. And I can remember as a little boy looking at the Germans in that prisoner of war camp. And not many people realise that that was a prisoner of a war camp for some years. That's some of my memories of the war.
Thank you.
At lunchtime, the Royal Naval Association held a lunch for veterans at the Junction Hotel. We heard first from Frida Wade, aged 20 in 1945.
I was 6,000 miles away.
Oh, really?
I was in Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And I was at HMS Highflyer. HMS Highflyer was the naval base in the north of the island.
Okay.
And word came through that the war was over in Europe, but we were more concerned with Japs. We thought, well, this is going to drag on. No. They dropped the atom bomb. It was the best thing they could have done.
On an adjacent table was Jack Edmonds, aged 96, who told us what he'd got up to.
I was a young apprentice toolmaker. I was 16 years old. Right. And went on VE Day, and I was working through to it. And then I went out in the evening. We had a street party where I lived.
Yeah.
And then I went out drinking in the local pub that night, and I got very drunk.
Was she coming in?
16 years old. Yeah. My father was abroad in Burma, so it was yeah.
In the evening, a formal programme of entertainment and commemoration had been arranged for Salisbury Fields, a recreational area towards the lower end of Dorchester, where a beacon had been built for lighting at key moments.
surprise they're waiting for. Our parents to enter any of the vehicles. And in innocence, we couldn't understand why. But everyone complied, and I cannot remember any problems. Our mothers
drill in North Wales for 8 weeks training and posted to the 93rd Searchlight Regiment Royal Artillery, manned entirely by women.
Surrender of all German land.
Of all kinds of freedom, can possibly understand the joy and relief we felt at that hour.
Yes, sir, that's my baby, no, sir. I don't mean baby, yes, sir, that's my baby now.
Thank you.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Wow. 80 years ago today, the United Kingdom and its allies from around the globe celebrated VE Day, the end of the war in Europe, in order that future generations should enjoy the blessings of freedom, democracy and peace. God save the King!
God save the King.
The climax of that evening was the lighting of the beacon at 9:30 to coincide with hundreds of others across the country. It was undertaken here by the Mayor of Dorchester, Councillor Robin Potter.
There's a bit on the ground. Wow.
And so the VE80 celebrations and commemorations came to an end. Dad came home later in 1945. He was discharged and given a disability pension, also an artificial limb. It was undoubtedly tough for him, and he had to work valiantly to support Mum, me and my little sister. Here's my first car, which I vaguely remember, and his, which I don't remember at all. Although I do remember the Cyclemaster moped he bought to take him to the Supermarine factory in Woolston, where he worked for a time on the assembly lines. The Ford Consul Classic he unexpectedly came home with one day was both hard-earned and well-deserved. He loved his cars, and we all holidayed regularly in the West Country. He routinely upgraded his cars, and after retiring, he and Mum caravanned a lot, especially in Scotland. He passed on in 1989, and his ashes are buried alongside Mum's on the summit of Ben Aig in Scotland. We never spoke about the war. Who did? And I regret that. I think he would have appreciated this tribute, so let me conclude by simply saying, thanks, Dad, and Mum, of course, who's the unsung heroine of this story.